Have you ever had that moment when you thought, if I just had a bit more, I'd finally be happy? A better job, a nicer house, more money, more power. It sounds reasonable until you get what you wished for and realize somehow it's still not enough. Let me tell you the story of a man who chased every possible version of more and came back full circle. His name was Taro, a humble stonecutter in a peaceful mountain village. Every day, he carved stones under the sun, shaping them into bricks and tiles. He didn't have much, but he was at peace. He had routine. He had purpose. One day, Taro saw a group of wealthy merchants passing by, dressed in silk, riding horses, laughing loud. Something inside him stirred. He wished he could be like them, and as if the universe was listening, his wish was granted. Taro became a rich merchant overnight. He had money, luxury, servants. But soon, the shine faded. He noticed that even merchants had fears. Bigger risks, more enemies, and endless stress. So he wished to be a prince. Powerful, untouchable, above it all. Again, his wish came true. Yet even as a prince, he couldn't control the sun. So he became the sun. But clouds blocked him. Then he became clouds. But mountains stopped them. Finally, he became a mighty mountain. Surely now he would be invincible. But one day, a simple stonecutter came and started chipping away at him. And that's when it hit him. No matter how powerful you become, something will always shape you. He had been the sun, the clouds, the mountain. Yet peace never came. Only confusion, exhaustion, and a hunger that kept growing. So he made one last wish, to be Taro the stonecutter again. And when he returned to his simple life, he finally felt whole. Now, Taro's story may sound like a fable, but how many of us live this exact cycle? Wanting more, getting more, then feeling strangely empty. We run in circles, convinced that just one more upgrade, one more title, one more follower will do the trick. But what if we stopped? What if simplicity isn't a step backward, but the most powerful choice we could make? Simplicity doesn't mean poverty or laziness. It means clarity. It means not carrying 5 suitcases when all you need is a backpack. It means not filling every silent moment with noise. Not chasing what doesn't serve your peace. Not comparing your path with someone else's highlight reel. In fact, simplicity might be the most radical rebellion in today's culture of more. You don't have to sell everything and live in a cave. But ask yourself how much of what you chase is truly yours, and how much is just noise. In the next parts of this video, we'll explore how simplicity changes not just your external world, but your inner one. Your peace, your focus, your freedom. But first, let me ask you this. What if you already have enough right here, right now, and just forgot how to see it? Have you ever walked into a cluttered room and instantly felt anxious, even though nothing was happening? That's not your imagination. Studies from Princeton and UCLA have shown that physical clutter affects our mental clarity and emotional balance. When your environment is chaotic, your mind mirrors that chaos. Now imagine the opposite. A calm, clean room with just a few meaningful items. The light is soft. The air feels fresh. You immediately breathe a little deeper. Why? Because simplicity calms the nervous system. It signals safety. It says, you don't have to fight today. This is the first layer of simplification, your physical world. And it matters more than you think. But let's go deeper, because the real clutter isn't always on your desk. It's in your head. Have you ever noticed how much noise your mind produces, even when you're sitting in silence? To-do lists, old regrets, imaginary arguments, future fears. It's like your thoughts are throwing a party, and you weren't even invited. Mental clutter is one of the biggest thieves of peace, and it often goes unnoticed because we're so used to it. We think it's normal to be exhausted by our own brain. But what if we didn't have to live like that? The second layer of simplification is mental space. It means letting go of unnecessary decisions, reducing input, and creating room for stillness. Try this. Every time you feel overwhelmed, ask yourself, what's the one thing I actually need to focus on right now? Not 10 things, not 5, just one. When you zoom in, life becomes manageable again. Your clarity returns. Your body softens. You stop sprinting and start walking with intention. And then there's the third and maybe most difficult layer of simplification: desire. We live in a culture that monetizes our longing. Ads are designed to make you feel incomplete. Every scroll shows you something better, faster, more beautiful. And without noticing, we start to believe a dangerous lie: that we're only one product, one promotion, or one relationship away from being whole. But what if the opposite were true? What if the more you want, the more you suffer? Desire isn't bad, but unmanaged desire turns life into a race you never win. Simplicity means knowing the difference between need and want. It means learning to sit with the discomfort of not having everything and realizing that the discomfort passes. Peace isn't found in getting everything you want. It's found in needing less. So next time you feel that pull, the urge to buy, to scroll, to compare, pause and ask yourself, is this helping me feel more free or more trapped? Because simplicity isn't deprivation, it's freedom. And in a world that's constantly yelling more, sometimes the most powerful word you can say is enough. In the next section, we'll dive into how our culture of overchoice and consumerism hijacks that sense of enough, and what we can do to take it back. Let's be honest. Have you ever walked into a supermarket just to grab a simple item, say, toothpaste, and ended up staring blankly at an entire aisle of confusing options? Whitening, charcoal, herbal, kids sparkle, with fluoride, without. In that moment, something as basic as brushing your teeth feels like a test of your identity. This is what psychologists call the paradox of choice. The more options we have, the more anxious and dissatisfied we become. And in a world obsessed with consumerism, this paradox is no longer the exception. It's the norm. Back in the day, choices were limited. You didn't waste time comparing 12 brands of shampoo. You picked what was available and moved on with your day. But now we're expected to be product analysts, marketing experts, and amateur psychologists, all just to pick a tube of toothpaste. And it's not just about groceries. Phones, laptops, cars, clothes, even dating. Everything has become a marketplace of endless decisions. Just think about dating apps. Millions of profiles, infinite swipes. Yet somehow we still feel more lost than ever. This constant decision-making doesn't just waste time, it drains us emotionally. Every choice becomes a micro-battle. What if I pick the wrong one? What if there's something better? What if I miss out? So how do we escape this loop? Simplicity. What if we dared to settle for good enough? What if instead of chasing the best, we chose the one that simply works? What if we stopped comparing, paused the endless scrolling, and chose to be okay with less but meaningful? By embracing simplicity in our choices, we reclaim energy we didn't even know we were losing. We regain presence, we reduce stress, and we start to experience life as it's meant to be, lived, not analyzed. The truth is, consumerism isn't just a system, it's a mindset. It tells us that happiness is always just one more purchase away. But it's a lie. You don't need 12 versions of the same thing. You need peace, clarity, time. That's what simplicity gives back. You wake up, open your eyes, and before your feet even touch the floor, the pressure begins. You're behind on success, behind on health, behind on life. You scroll through your phone and see people crushing it at 6 a.m., doing yoga on rooftops, closing business deals, smiling with perfect teeth in perfect sunlight. You haven't even brushed your teeth yet, and already you feel like a failure. Welcome to the Achievement Society, a world where worth is measured by how much you do, how visible you are, and how optimized your life looks. Where we are no longer forced by others, but forced by ourselves. We whip ourselves with to-do lists, chase productivity like it's salvation, and wear burnout like a badge of honor. Philosopher Byung-Chul Han warned us about this. He described how we've shifted from a disciplinary society, where power comes from outside restrictions, to an achievement society where we voluntarily enslave ourselves under the illusion of freedom. In other words, we're not being controlled, we're self-controlling. Simplicity here becomes an act of rebellion, a refusal to perform, a quiet declaration that you are enough, even if you're not constantly improving. that your life has worth even if it isn't flashy. That rest isn't laziness, it's resistance. Instead of grinding every hour to be someone, what if we simply allowed ourselves to be, to pause, to breathe, to stop doing just for the sake of doing, to choose leisure over constant optimization, stillness over noise, depth over speed? Imagine this, a life where happiness isn't something to chase, but something you're allowed to feel, where contentment comes not from achievement, but from attention, not from quantity, but from quality, not from proving yourself, but from knowing yourself. Even boredom, silence, hesitation, once seen as useless, become sacred. They give space. They make room for creativity, healing, and clarity. I once sat in a parking lot in Indonesia watching a man whose job was simply helping drivers park. He earned little. His job was simple, but he laughed more than anyone else on that street. He wasn't succeeding in the traditional sense, but he looked free. And maybe that's what we've all forgotten. Freedom is found in simplicity, not in complexity. So the next time you feel overwhelmed by the endless ladder of more, step off, sit down, look around, and remember, you were never meant to be a machine.